Okay, what is happening here? I just finished tinkering with the right Z-axis because it was going wobbly on me, so I adjusted it to such a level that there is no more problems with it. So now what I'm trying to do is get a bed leveling just to see how the axis is traveling downward and to see if there is any problems with it. So let's do a bed leveling on camera right here. Okay, leveling. And then I can explain the cubes right there. This cube showed me that what I have done until now was a good process. But I noticed that after a certain, I would say 9 or 8 millimeters, the cubes started ringing around, and that told me that maybe there's a problem with the Z-axis. Now I was tinkering with it for quite a bit of time, about 2-3 hours, gently, slowly, taking my time to understand what's going on. So now we're doing a bed leveling, and I'm trying to see if there is any humps or problems as the Z-axis is traveling up or down, or better said, as the X-axis is traveling up and down. After this, I will print a few more cubes just to see if my tests or if my tinkering and my adjusting it will make the printouts better. So in order to make sure that this rod right here, it's perfectly straight up and perpendicular, I took this bracket apart, I took it off the rail, and then I wanted to see the tip of the rod, if it's going to stay in this vicinity right here, or if it's going to tilt to the left or to the right or back or forward. And after I took this guy, the rod was tilting towards this area, so what I had to do is adjust the T-nut right here. And this T-nut, in order to adjust it, you kind of loose the screws a little bit, and then you can also bend this thing right there. So I used a bit of paper towel and I bent it in such a manner that it will allow for the tip of the rod right here to stay in this position or close to this position, because it was frictioning on the ball bearing and it was frictioning against the T-nut, and I wasn't getting the right travel. When I was twisting these here, I would feel like bumps. I would feel bumps as the X-axis itself, the rail, was going up and down. I would feel bumps, or when it was going down, I would feel like quick speed ups. And then to further tune it, I also loosened the screws down here. I loosened the screws right here in the T-nuts, and that kind of maintained the level on the X-axis. And this is the second time I'm doing this, and I took my time with it because I wanted to get past the 7mm mark where I'm getting like better printouts. And after that, I adjusted the motor, the screws here, I loosened it and I repositioned it just a tiny bit to make sure that the rod at the top here, the tip of the rod, will stay in this vicinity where the bracket is, so it doesn't create or put any tension on the ball bearing, because the rod tends to kind of screw in the edge of the ball bearing, which kind of creates a bit of friction and creates some of the bumps that you may feel when the X-axis is going up. After printing a few more cubes, I still notice that right here, this beginning of the cube, which is very well printed, and then after that it just goes with this chatter, like ring chatter, that happens from like 8 or 7mm to the end of 20th millimeter when it finishes the cube. So even with all the tweaks I've done, I still cannot print the cubes rightly. And we have a few protagonists here from another video. We're looking at here number 4 right there, and then 3, and then 5. These are cubes that printed well, but I'm not sure why they did, because after that, using similar settings and similar jerk settings and speed, the following cubes didn't print well. And now you can see next to 5 right here, we have this guy which still prints in the same manner. The first 7mm, they seem that the layers stick properly on top of each other, there's no chatter in the wall, and then after that it just goes crazy. If we look inside this print, like the inner wall looks okay, and then it starts changing, the layers start shifting. Even the outside wall starts shifting, so I'm not sure what's happening here. But for a bit of time, it seems like the cube prints fine. As if you look inside of it, there is no, like for a portion of the vertical line, there is no diagonal line as the nozzle travels to start a new layer. The wall starts chattering. There's chatter in the printout, and there's no reason for Cura to start changing the way the G-code is laid out, because nothing changes throughout the face. Alright, we're gonna break this cube to see how it is organized inside. We're gonna break it and we're gonna see how it is organized inside. Because if we look inside this one right here, we see that there is the wall on the inside up to a level it's very fine and smooth. And then after that we see those three little layers that are chattering inside the wall. But before that we see that there's no problems. And then the diagonal lines, they only start going on the diagonal after a while, but before that the program or the printer prints this like in vase mode all around, but then after a while it just starts going like this and then jumps and then continues and then jumps, or jumps anyway, it jumps rather than continuing going around. So I want to break this other cube inside, which is very smooth in the beginning, as you can see, for the first like, I don't know, 6-7 millimeters, and then it just starts chattering. So I would like to see how it looks inside, basically. So let's do that.
So as you can see, is basically the diagonal lines going in. I want to see if this helps us anyway. I want to see what's happening and how it is organized inside.
Okay, so if we look inside, it seems to be quite chatty inside, but not at the same level. Basically, this wall here, right there, this wall on the inside is chatty. Let's see how it feels on the outside. It's quite chatty, but this one is not. So if we look at it like that, there's a portion of about, I don't know, 6 millimeters, I would say, that is not chatty at all, but then it starts chattering. So let's see how it looks on the inside. And it seems like on the inside seems okay-ish. Alright, and let's cut them up a little more. Alright, now this one also looks very good on the inside, but on the outside, let's see it on the outside. Okay, it is chatter. So it seems like the printer prints better on the inside rather than the outside in some cases, not all of them. My question here is, why would Cura start deploying the G-code in such a manner that it just goes diagonally rather than just do it in vase mode and spiral upwards, when this is a simple shape? And I would like to figure this one out. And let's cut this cube furthermore, and like these walls, they're pretty smooth, right? And if we look on the outside, they're not that smooth, and I don't understand how is it possible for how is it possible for the software to define the G-code in such a manner that it's better on the inside, or when we're interested in what's happening on the outside? So, alright, let's see. This is the outside, clearly, okay? And this is the inside. So, it seems to me like this particular world, this one right there, okay, it's pretty smooth on the inside. Let's see how smooth it is on the outside. Yeah, it's more chattery on the outside, so it doesn't make sense a printer to print better on the inside. And there is a feature in Cura to print the outside wall first rather than the inside wall. So I'll have to try that to see what's going on. What I don't understand is why the first 6 millimeters prints pretty okay and then it doesn't. So now let's break this apart. As we can see, this also goes in like an X fashion and zigzags, and I don't understand what's going on here. Is it the motors don't travel properly? Because it seems to me that the chatter in the outer walls happens because the measurement in the way these things travel diagonally is not working properly. So like, if anybody has met this problem, I would really like some helps in the comments above. Wait a minute, comments above. I'm joking. Alright, so let's cut this. I don't know, seems like there's a little less chatter on the inside and a little more chatter on the outside. Yeah, so that seems like a pretty good shade. Yeah, definitely there's more chatter on the outside, and it doesn't make any sense why this is happening. So that's one other thing I wanted to like investigate. Let's break another cube. And look at that. Would you just look at that? There's very little chatter on these walls, right? And there's a lot of chatter on the outside. This printer prints better on the inside, where I needed to print better on the outside. And also, as the chatter starts from the bottom towards the top, it seems that it starts at the same time when the nozzle starts traveling diagonally and building the cube. It doesn't make sense why for 40% of the cube's height the nozzle travels concentrically and then all of a sudden starts skipping or jumping diagonally across to continue building the cube and finishing it. And as I position this into the light, you can see that the walls inside, at least these two walls, are very smooth. And on the outside, they're not as smooth. It seems that they're only as smooth on the outside as the nozzle travels concentrically. Once the nozzle travels diagonally rather than concentrically to build a cube, then the walls start to chatter. And there's a few problems with this scenario, and I don't understand why this is happening. At this point, it seems that the printer may be capable of printing smoothly, but also it may not, because it can print smoothly on the inside, but the measurements that it does on the outside, they're not equal. Is there like a motor pulsing problem here? Is it, I don't know what, but it seems that it doesn't work well. And this is what I discovered so far.